How would your life look like if you were not afraid of failing? It started with this question, and the answers I had seemed impossible, delusional to be precise. This grand idea of life, what right do I have to even dream of making it a reality? But why do I think I'm not worthy of dreaming big? Why do I believe that my role is to play small in my own life? It was one question that gave birth to more questions, and I stuck for a very long time on one. Why am I afraid of going after my impossible dreams? Failure was the answer, still is, to be honest. I find that cooking is one of the best ways to learn to be fine with failing because it takes a lot of showing up in the kitchen in order to be a good cook. I have been cooking for more than 2 decades and I'm still learning, still pushing myself to try unfamiliar things even when they don't turn out great. Every plate of food always has a story, a piece of me that shows how my ideas, my thoughts, are capable of becoming something that makes someone's day a little better. As a firstborn child, I was brought up to be the blueprint for my siblings, and this means that failing wasn't an option. Doing things that would embarrass the family name wasn't an option. I was the proverbial good daughter, and most times cited as the role model for many other children in my village. I had the good grades, I had the best of discipline, never causing trouble, and I was deeply praised for this. On the outside, I was the golden trophy that every parent dreamed to have, but on the inside, in my own skin, I knew I was an imposter. I had played the role so well, smiling to the world as I drowned into myself, wondering when I was going to be free. And the first thing I had to do is confront my fear of failing. As a genius marketing strategist, I decided to use my professional skills to put my personal life in order. There is a marketing model called Sostac, which stands for Situational Analysis, Objectives, Strategy, Tactics, Action, and Control. For every area of my life that I was hesitant about, I used this model to come up with a clear bird's eye view and find concrete solutions. One of the things that I was struggling with, especially in my professional career, is imposter syndrome. I have a master's degree, I graduated with honors, and yet that wasn't enough to inspire confidence in myself. So using the Sostac model, I decided to do something, create a project to prove to myself that I was great at my job on my own without the help of team members, as is the norm in creative agencies and corporate environments. I decided to use my TikTok page as my guinea pig. At that time, I had been stuck at 3,000 followers for over 2.5 years. My goal was to grow to about 10,000 followers within 2 months and get at least 3 videos with 100,000 views. I had to create at least 2 videos every single day for 2 months, and in the end, I had immense proof of my skills. I ended up with 4 million views, 30,000 followers, 70,000 comments and shares in just 2 months. I also had 6 videos with over 100,000 views and many others with thousands of views. That was enough to make it known to myself that I didn't need to play small because I know exactly what I am doing in my professional life. That experience also taught me so much about being a content creator and helped me create a blueprint for this YouTube channel. One of the things that really stuck with me that was always reiterated in business school is the importance of having clear objectives. An objective that can be measured with a time frame is crucial to ensure you hit your goals and get results. If you don't have a framework that ensures you can clearly measure your results, it's easy to feel like a failure. And the good news is that when you're creating this framework for yourself, you get to choose what success looks like for you. In the end, I got to reaffirm my excellence in my work while learning about my uncanny talent in writing. It's what inspired these voiceovers because I realized I express myself better with written words. This perfectly matches with my once impossible dream of being an author. This TikTok project reminded me that if you don't bet on yourself, you're denying yourself a chance to know more about who you are. That's just a small example of how I have created self-validation using my own efforts. And this goes a long way because anytime anyone tries to tell me that I'm not good enough, as they often like to do in job interviews, I remind myself that I have done great things on my own, and clearly if they don't see my genius, it's their loss. This also means that I have the courage to go after my own ideas without any fear of failure because I have proven over and over to myself that I can beat down whatever challenges come my way. One thing I know for sure, the fear of failure isn't something that goes away. It's always there. If you've grown up like me, a firstborn pushed to be an overachiever in all areas, it's hard to fight against this fear, which creates a lot of anxiety. However, through a lot of unlearning and a strong desire to live a life that has been written by my own hands, I have ample ammunition to fight this monster called fear of failure. DOING. Doing. Getting into the habit of doing instead of thinking and reading all manner of self-development is the key to getting ahead of failure. The more you do, the more you learn. That's how you rewrite the story of the scary monster called failure that is stuck in your head.
Hey kid, don't ever let them get inside your head. They'll tell you what to do in life instead of everything you know that you could get. Don't Don't let them guide your life towards regret. I'll fight for what I love with every breath. My past is filled with things I won't forget. I use them all to push me to my best. So treat the worst of times just like a test. If only I could go back in time, I'd tell myself that everything will end up alright. Just push yourself, test yourself, figure out what you like, and find your limits, don't be rigid, always work towards a prime. Surround yourself with open minds, people can change your life. A few friends with intent can help you feel alive. Find a passion, take some action, and with a little time, just be patient, make a statement, try to enjoy your life. They'll try to kick you while you're down.
It's been a few days since I installed these twists, and I haven't been able to undo them because I wasn't feeling well. As you can hear from my muffled voice, I had to take a few days away from any kind of work so that I can focus on myself, and I believe I'm getting better. And in the past days, I've just been thinking about a certain phenomenon. It is very much constant in my life, actually, and this is from two recent instances where the people in question are really trying to make it known to me that I am considered a failure. Because I came from living in France to now living in the village. And of course this is from their perception, because of what they think about themselves. It has nothing to do with me. These kinds of comments are things that I've always gotten ever since I was young. It's like everybody's always in my business. Everyone wants to know what I'm doing, what my next plans are. And the irony in all this is that I really don't care about their lives. I don't care about what they're doing. Actually, the people, these two recent events, are people that I never talk to, people that I never even think about until when they make comments about my own life, and I'm like, why are you thinking about me? I've come to realize that, one, I am so powerful. I have so much power that people are sitting somewhere, people I don't know, and they're discussing me. They want to know about my life, or they're laughing about where I'm at because they think that I'm failing. But isn't that because they want to be like me in some way? You wouldn't be paying attention to someone and being happy about their alleged failure if, one, you weren't jealous of them, or two, you didn't want to be like them. And you know, there are people that I never think about that are talking about me. It means that my life is very much valuable. And the second thing that this situation made me think about is how people are so afraid of failing in their own lives that they want to force other people to be afraid of failing, and also to be seen as failures. At the end of the day, all these standards we are held to, they are made up by other human beings. I find it just so stupid to try and measure other people by your own standards of success or failure. But isn't that what society is always pushing? They tell you that because you're a woman, you're supposed to act a certain way, because you're a man, you're supposed to act a certain way, because you're black, because you're this and this and this. They put you in a box and they expect you to play the role they've created for that box. And if you don't follow any of that, they want to villainize you. And this largely relates to the video that I did about how a lot of African parents would rather have a dead child than a failure. I've always noted that a lot of parents, especially a lot of African parents, gave birth to children not because they wanted children, but because they wanted prosperity, or they wanted to be seen in a certain way. So their children are trophies of some sort, and you're expected to play the role of that trophy. It means that you have to be golden at every chance. You have to be someone that's bringing prestige to the family at every chance. And this is very limiting because it means that you are taught not to take risks, not to fail at anything, because you're supposed to be the perfect child, because you're not supposed to bring embarrassment to the family. That has a huge effect on how you show up for yourself. I come from a culture where even if you did 99 things right and did one wrong thing, that one wrong thing is going to be fixated on, and you're going to be made to feel like a failure because of just that one thing. You have 99% correct, but that 1% is going to be used to define you. And this is something that was inculcated in the home, in schools, basically everywhere. And the moment that I really stopped listening to all these voices was when I went abroad. I was finding myself in a situation where I'm living a life that a lot of people were trying to advise me has never lived. I was like, there's no way you're going to tell me about how to live abroad when you yourself, you've never lived here? You can't tell me about how I am not playing the role of a good daughter because you expected me to go to a whole new country and start earning money out of the blues and send you money. Like how? All of a sudden, people you've never spoken to in your life are expecting you to send them money for their children, for their weddings. And then I also realized, why would I be taking advice from people who are not living the life that I want to live? And that really became a game changer, because I realized I don't need to be taking any advice or validation from anyone except for myself. But of course, that doesn't mean that you don't listen to people. You have to be logical when it comes to your career. You have to listen to people who are ahead of you or who have jobs that you desire to have. Because again, if you don't listen to people who are experienced, means that you're just going to make the same mistakes over and over instead of just taking guidance. But there's a difference. You're not just taking advice from anyone, you're taking advice from people who are experienced, who match the goals and objectives that you have for yourself. And the moment I actually started doing this, you know what I realized? The people who are very experienced, the people who have actually walked the path that you have, they will not try to make you feel bad about where you are because they've been there, because they know how it is. When I see people leaving comments on a lot of my videos trying to paint me in a certain way, I'm always like, you can say whatever you want, but that's because you've made nothing of yourself. Because if you are constantly trying to improve yourself or even putting yourself out there, putting your work out there, you know the challenges that you go through, and you wouldn't ever be the person that is trying to put somebody else down. Right now, I'm just so proud of the kind of person I've become, because I'm kind to myself, I'm compassionate to myself, and I know exactly how to achieve whatever it is that I want to achieve. And I'm not afraid of taking paths that are hard because I can always figure it out. I have so many examples of how I've been able to figure it out on my own, sometimes with the help of other people. I always like being undermined because you're just left to do your own thing. When you succeed, all of a sudden they're like, wow, we actually knew that you were going to succeed. And of course, this success is according to their standards. Once you're able to say, start traveling around the world, all of a sudden they're like, wow, tell us how you did it. Human beings are just so interesting. Look at how fantastic my hair looks with the most minimal amount of products. I'm just at a point where I don't have the energy to overexert myself, and I'm just making do with what I have. I believe that's my superpower, just showing up for myself even with the little that I have, and I just love myself for this. Using a pick is always great to add a little bit of volume.